What's up, guys? So today I want to discuss something that's been on my mind a bit recently because it's something I've dealt with before, but it's something that I'm having to deal with again right now. And I just want to discuss it a little bit with you guys. And that is the subject of DNF, the did not finish, or at least why I believe it's okay to, at least for some games, not finish them. I think we've all dealt with something like this in the past. There are thousands upon thousands of video games that are out there, and there's no way that any of us as an individual are going to be able to play all of them. You kind of have to curate your playlist and make sure that things are things that you want to play, things you want to get to eventually, and things that you are just kind of going to ignore. Because, our lives are only so long, so there's only so many games that we're going to be able to play. And as we get older, the time each week that we can dedicate to video games gets shorter and shorter. So you really have to go into games with intention. And everybody has different tastes, So like me, I like action RPGs, I like platformers, I like strategy games. I'm not the biggest fan of like FPSs and MOBAs and stuff like that. I like good single player experiences. So going into curating that list of games, I'm not the kind of person that's going to go into a game store and pick up the newest Call of Duty or go online and start playing a MOBA or something like that. It's not my niche, so I know I'm not going to have the best time with it, so I'm not going to waste my time with it. But to kind of circle back around to the point of what I'm wanting to do with this video is to not talk about games that you obviously aren't going to like and you don't get into, but it's the ones that for all intents and purposes you should like. They fit right into the mold of the niches that you enjoy, and for whatever reason they don't particularly click with you, or even worse, I'm talking more about the games that you start, you like, but then a third of the way through, halfway through the game, you realize that you're not really having fun, and you haven't been having fun for a little while. Like, you're kind of just going through the motion of the game to try and see it through to the end. I know this is kind of counter to what I mentioned in a couple videos back with why I collect games and how I collect them to have the physical game, to put a little friction between me being able to swap games, because you kind of have to power through a little bit of boredom or a little bit of, well, this isn't quite what I wanted in a game. You kind of have to power through some of that to be able to see through to where things start getting good again. And I understand that, but I'm talking more of like the realization that you haven't been having fun. It's not like this section of the game isn't fun, but we're going to get back to something that was. This is like, oh, the last 5 hours that I've put into this game, I haven't actually been enjoying. It's just been kind of there. I think the most important thing for accepting that you're not going to finish a game is understanding that the importance of something like a video game or movies or theater or any of this alliteration, explorative, escapist experience is that it is at least some level of an enjoyable experience. Whatever you enjoy is whatever you enjoy, but at the end of the day, it should be enjoyable. Whether that's any of any of your FromSoft games or Black Myth Wukong or something like that, where the enjoyment of the experience is overcoming these horrendously difficult challenges, whereas something like Astrobot and Psychonauts, where part of the enjoyment is the funny charm that these games bring to you. Regardless of what it is and regardless of what you like, these experiences should be enjoyable to you. And sometimes that enjoyment fades and it just doesn't come back. One of the more recent experiences for me that I've just accepted is going into the DNF pile was 2018's God of War. I don't know what it is. I don't understand why this didn't jive with me, because this has a lot of things that I like in games, but for whatever reason, this just wouldn't stick. I tried, and I want to say I got 6 or 7 hours into the game. I came to a point where I just realized that I wasn't really having fun with it and that I shouldn't force myself to play it. And I think the most recent game that's kind of made me want to talk about this with you guys is actually back on the Super Nintendo, Secret of Mana. I finally got around to playing it. I've always heard great things about it. I've always heard people praise this game. And I think part of that is because I'm not able to experience this the way it was kind of intended, because I've read a lot of discussions on this game, and one of the things that made this stand out back in the day was it was one of the only like multiplayer RPGs at the time. So being able to play an RPG going on this grand adventure with your friends was a huge deal back then that I don't really get to experience because I'm trying to play this by myself. I'm sure there are plenty of people who love this game that played it alone, and my hat's off to you guys, because I wish I enjoyed this game like you guys do. I don't understand what it is about this that's not clicking for me. And it's worse because I'm about halfway through the game. I made it to the Fire Palace, and it's been a few weeks, and I just have not been able to bring myself to go back to it. And that's such a shame, because I've always heard great things about this game, and I've wanted to experience and hopefully enjoy it. But now that I'm experiencing it, the enjoyment just isn't there. And it goes back to that curation thing I mentioned earlier, because as we age, we get less and less time to spend doing this hobby that we enjoy. So when we are actually getting to do it, shouldn't we enjoy what we're playing? If we're spending this time and not enjoying what we're doing, then would you consider it a waste of time? Because I would. And I don't like wasting my time. So I feel like if you're giving it a fair shake and you're not enjoying the experience, even if you did at the start, if 10 hours deep and you've stopped enjoying it and you haven't enjoyed it for a little while, then I think it's safe to drop it and move on to something that you are actually going to enjoy, or at least try and find something else that you're going to enjoy. I feel like there's a line there you have to find, because like you don't want to drop something too quickly because you stopped having fun for 15 minutes and you can't live without a dopamine hit. But also, if you haven't had fun for the past like 4 hours of the game, there's a chance that what's coming up you also won't have fun with, and you shouldn't subject yourself to that. Am I making sense? Like I feel like I've rambled for way too long on this, and I managed to come back to my main point, but I thought I lost it in the weeds there for a minute. So let me ask you guys, what games have y'all DNF'd? Like, and I'm talking like what I've discussed here. I want to hear about a game that you spent a decent chunk of time with. You either had fun with it in the beginning, or you thought that it was going to get better and it just never quite did it for you. It has never quite got there. Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. But I think that's going to be it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to talking more games with y'all as the days go on. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, y'all.